Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Four-time Grammy nominee Elle King performs tonight in Solomons, Maryland, followed by the Hollywood Casino in Charlestown, West Virginia tomorrow night. She joined me to discuss her journey to create rock anthems like X's and O's and country hits like her Dierks Bentley duet Different for Girls and her Miranda Lambert duet Drunk and I Don't Want to Go Home. Hey, Elle King. Hey, thanks so much for joining us on WTOP in Washington, D.C.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Now, we are here because you are coming to the Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in Charlestown, West Virginia, July 28th. So everybody get your tickets now. What do we got in store? Is it like just your newest album, or do you usually probably sprinkle in some of the hits? You have to, right?
My set changes every night. I always try and read the audience, and sometimes you get like a listening crowd. I mean, I always play the songs that, you try your hardest to play what everybody wants to come and hear. So I do try my best to play what, people want to hear, but sometimes I just get a wild, feeling, and I play something that no one's ever heard before. So you never know, but yeah, it's going to be, it's a rowdy summer. So, and it's like within I don't know how many miles of my family's hometown. So, it's going to be rowdy and fun. That's all I can tell you for now.
Just following up on that, where was the family's hometown? Because I thought, you were born in LA, right? But where was the family, and what's the DMV or West Virginia roots?
So my grandmother is from West Virginia, and then she married my grandfather, and my family has lived in Southern Ohio in Jackson for, I don't know how many years, at least 60.
Wow. Was this on mom's side or dad's side?
My mom's family.
Mom's grandparent, the King side. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I literally just interviewed your dad on the Schneider side. At the same place you're playing. He came to Hollywood Casino, I don't know, a couple weeks ago or something like that. So he was reminding us that you were a Girl Scout in Deuce Bigalow, but he said that he thinks that The Hot Chick is your favorite movie of his. Was he right, or what is it actually?
I don't know. I like a lot of the movies that my dad was in, but I think Big Daddy is one of my favorites, and Hot Chick's pretty funny. But what I can definitely say is my show will be very different from my dad's.
Yeah, I'm sure different perspectives on life and maybe politics and everything else. But you know what? He was funny and very generous in our interview, but obviously you've had a killer career of your own here. Was there ever a point you wanted to go into the acting route, or how did you make the pivot to music? At what age were you like, nah, I think I want to go this way?
Well, I mean, I never set out. I don't know if people have preconceived notions about my childhood. I know it's easy to kind of just read that I was born in LA, but I didn't grow up in LA. I grew up in Ohio until we moved to New York. But I've always played music. My mom always had me in all different types of, music lessons. And I started on the violin, and it was music. It was never like a big plan for me. And I never put all this thought into my dad is a famous actor, and my dad was just my dad. And I grew up with my mom, and so I always used my mom's last name and their family's last name. And then by the time I was 15, I was already writing songs, and I just never really connected with people my own age. And I liked being in bars, and so I would just start singing in bars, and it was fun, and it created this outlet and this connection that I never really felt. And I went to film school too. I wanted to be an editor. I wanted to make short films and animations, and I wanted to be an artist. And I never went to class. I was just always playing music, and it just kind of happened that way. And it brought joy into my life, and so I just kind of followed that.
What was the film school?
I went to University of the Arts in Philly for a year, but I failed English and art history twice. So
so that was that.
Yeah.
But that's cool. You want to be an editor. You know, sometimes you hear people want to be directors or actors or whatever, but the editing, you know, Thelma Schoonmaker here, you know, that's awesome. Well, all right, but so you chose the music route, and you know, you're performing here on the East Coast. I want to remind our listeners, before you became the Elle King we all know, I mean, you were opening for like Dashboard Confessional and Monsters of Men and Train and Dropkick Murphys and Ed Sheeran and Modest Mouse. Like that must have been insane. Like what do you pick up from touring with such, you know, icons like that?
I mean, I learned everything that I know from touring. I mean, I I try and watch and learn as much as I could absorb and how to act. And, you know, I always said I wanted people to want to work with us again. And it's cool, you know, like my 20s were spent totally just traveling all around the world and opening for badass, you know, rock and roll people and I mean, it is a little wild to kind of step back and look at all the people that have like taken me on tour and let me open for them, and it's awesome because it's just like a wide kind of range of an audience that I can share emotions with, or maybe make laugh, or maybe, you know, find connection with. And I've been just so grateful to anyone who's ever given me a shot on tour.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, that list also includes Maroon 5 and Miranda Lambert and Joan Jett and Hart and Chris Stapleton. The list goes on and on. So that's crazy. Rubbing elbows with all of them. Well, we have to go into that first debut album, Love Stuff, in 2015. I mean, I guess you'd had the Elle King EP right before that with Playing for Keeps and all that. But the first, you know, big album was Love Stuff with X's and O's. You probably talked about it a million times, but we have to ask you because it was, you know, double Grammy nominee for rock song and rock performance. But do you remember the first time that slid across your desk, or either writing it, or you know what I mean? Like, were you like, oh my God, this is gonna kick ass? Because us as listeners, it's one of the most badass songs of the last, I don't know, 5-10 years. But you know, for you, was it an instant for you?
No, honestly, I thought that America's Sweetheart was going to be the lead single, and I wrote X's and O's with Dave Bassett, in like less than 45 minutes. And I remember at the end of the day, we were just laughing like, oh, they're never going to go for this. And it was the single, and that song changed my life. And it taught me something. It taught me to write about what I know, my own experiences, and what I'm going through at the time. And I happened to be in my 20s and, you know, out there breaking hearts.
Why didn't you think they were gonna go for it? Just the idea of, you know, XOXO, like it's like a cutesy title, but you're flipping it a little bit, or what?
No, I
Subversive?
just didn't, I just didn't know. Now,
Yeah.
now I know, you know.
Now you know, but you don't know what you know at the time. That's great. All right, cool. Well, then of course, then you know that is like an awesome rockin' pop song that's all over the radio. Like everyone in the world can probably sing that. It's so mainstream and ubiquitous now. But I don't want to gloss over your second album, Shake That Spirit. It dealt with some really, you know, heavy topics: divorce, drinking, PTSD, self-doubt, stuff a lot of people go through. Is probably relatable to so many people. But yeah, I didn't want to brush over that. If you want to talk about that second album coming off of X's and O's and trying to put that together.
Yeah, I mean, listen, second album, I was in my 20s. I had like just kind of shot up with X's and O's, and life got really, really crazy. And I had to go back to what I do to try and heal, and that's make music. And I feel very blessed with my band. They're my family. They're my really good friends. And they just kind of were there with me, and we all just made this beautiful record. And it helped me kind of like release a lot of things that I didn't want to carry with me for the rest of my life. And if I need to relive them, I can just go back and listen to the fucking album, you know?
Yeah, you just got to get it out of this. You have to purge it in the album, and then it's good. Then it's there, and it's
Yeah.
out of your system.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
I love it. Well, that's the beauty of art and music and everything else. How'd you get the idea to sort of shift a little into the country realm? You know, my wife and I love country, and you won a CMA award, musical event of the year, and Grammy nominee for what was that duo performed with you and Dirks. He came on the show a couple months ago, but different for this girls was such a cool song. But yeah, what was it like shifting to country and working with Dirks with that slightly gravelly voice of his? He's awesome.
I mean, Dirks is genuinely the greatest human I've ever probably met. I mean, like what I've learned from him on how he just lives his life and treats people, and I mean, he just is so inspiring, and I didn't even know who he was. So it's pretty
Really?
funny. Yeah, I had to call my brother in Ohio and say, "Hey, who is this guy? I hear he's like pretty famous." My brother's like, "Dirk Bentley." So it's just totally another just like weird thing that I, had no idea anything would come of it. And I mean, talk about life altering.
Yeah. Well, I assume you've gone back and listened to this whole discography now, right? You've gone back like some old movie going back in time, like his lyrics. Like, the old Dirk stuff now, right?
I know all of Dirk's music now. Yeah.
Now we're talking. I like the honesty that you said you didn't know him at the time, but that's glorious because that means you got to go discover all his great music. Dirk's is great. All right, and then just before we get off, the country music realm, I guess you won an Academy of Country Music Award with "Fooled Around and Fell in Love." That huge collaboration. Gosh, I'm hoping I don't forget anybody. Who was it? Help me out. Carrie Lee Hammock, Miranda Lambert, Ashley McBride, Maren Morris, and Tennille Townes, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was it like getting with all of those ladies, all of these badass women of country and otherwise? And I mean, Maren Morris just came on a couple of months ago with us too. But
What's funny is that there was bad weather where I was, so I didn't make the flight. So I missed the day that everybody got together to record it. So I had to fly in the next day, and everybody had pretty much taken all the good parts. So I just had to like make up my own thing, and they let me. But Miranda's cool, and so is Jay, and Dirk's introduced me to Miranda, and we all know how that went. Pretty great.
yeah, I'd say. Well, and just to pick up, I mean, what she's referencing, folks, is you ended up working with her again on "Drunk and Don't Want to Go Home" on your third album, "Come Get Your Wife," which just came out. What was it, earlier this year? I guess.
I guess so. I don't even know what month it is, but
Something
yeah,
like that.
wow. It was amazing. I mean, it came at the tail end of like, a tour, a fully female fronted tour that was all her idea. Miranda's another person who's really taught me a lot, and she's so gracious and she's so wonderful, and she cares so much about her fans and her show and about making people feel included and a part of everything. And so at the end of the tour, I had been sitting on Drunk, and I rewrote the verses as I had been spending more time in Nashville. So I rewrote it with Martin Johnson, who I originally wrote it with, who also helped me write America's Sweetheart. And I asked her to sing on it with me, and she didn't text me back for a whole day. And I was like, what have I done? And and then she was in New York, and I don't think either of us had any idea. I mean, listen, it's a big song, but I don't think that we had any idea that we were going to break a record in country music, or, go to #1 or get a Grammy nomination. Like it's insane,
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone
Thanks
has
for having me.
to check out the concert at Hollywood Casino, Charlestown, West Virginia, July 28th. You have to go to that. Then after that, later this fall, you're coming to my hometown of Frederick, Maryland, here in this area in September 21st for the Great Frederick Fair, where I saw Dirk Bentley way back when. But how excited are you to come to Frederick?
I literally can't wait. I mean, you guys have the best food.
Really? What do you mean? You mean Frederick specifically, or just Maryland in general?
Maryland has good seafood and then really good pies. So I just always look forward to that. Listen, I know what you can drink and what you can eat in every city. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it's a crab picking town. And I actually think the night before Hollywood Casino on the 27th, you're going to be in Solomon's Island, Maryland, on the Chesapeake Bay area. So that's probably where you want to get your crab.
That's going to be my seasoning.
Thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks so much for joining us on Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Remember to hit the subscribe button and give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time.